Here. We are back for a new season, exciting season of Tuesday Talks with Tonia. I'm your host, Tonia Gibbons, and I am so excited and elated to be back to have a special guest of somebody I've known for a while and who I love her energy. I love what she does. We've connected on so many levels, and I'm grateful that she agreed to be my guest today. So today we are joined by Miss Ty Odom. She is a philanthropy expert, I say. She's a podcast host. She's a mom and probably a whole host of other things that I don't know about. But today, Ty Odom is here and we're going to talk about the pivot. So just remember that word, the pivot. And we'll talk about it from all angles. And hopefully you'll get something out of it. You'll be able to even look at your own life and see where you have already done a pivot, or maybe you need to do a pivot currently. So without further ado, welcome to my guest, Miss Ty Odom. Hi, Ty. How are you?
Good. Hey, Tanya. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for saying yes.
Of course. I think I reached out to you about being on my podcast. So it was nice that we can exchange this. So
absolutely.
To your new season.
Yay, thank you. And you're like one of the first, and I'm so excited. I'm glad we finally coordinated. We chat via inbox on Messenger and all of that stuff. And, you lose track and then you forget you had an inbox and then you have to go back and visit. And I was determined, no, I'm going to lock her down. I want her to be on Tuesday Talk. So I'm so glad that you're here. And I just I'm going to share a little bit of tidbit about you that I know. And then you come back and say, hey, yeah, this is who Ty is. So one of the things I know, I saw you went to South Carolina State University as well as Western Kentucky University. You're from Williston, South Carolina, which is not far from Augusta, Georgia. And then you moved to Arkansas, and then you moved back to Georgia. And so you're back in Georgia. And you're in philanthropy, and you also have your own podcast. So those are some of the things that I know. Like when I met you, you were in a different role. You were a different city, and you were married at the time, and now you're no longer married, but you're still a mom, and you still have a heart to give. So that's the brief synopsis of Ty Odom. So I'm going to let her tell you a little bit about herself after this short break. So, Ty, tell us about yourself. Tell us the pieces that I may have missed. What did I miss?
Oh, gosh. Well, you hit all the big parts. I am from Williston, South Carolina. And Augusta is probably the part where we say, I'm from Williston. From where? Have you ever heard of this place? No. Well, have you ever heard of Augusta? Yes, about 45 minutes away is normally how it goes. So, yes, South Carolina State grad. Went on to Western Kentucky. I was married for a while. I am no longer married, and I have a beautiful 9-year-old baby boy. Well, son, forgive me. He's getting to that age. And I've been in social work for a while. And when I tell people I'm a social worker, it's like, what? Do you do this? And I'm like, no, not really. And so how I got into philanthropy per se was that many of the organizations I was working with, they were nonprofits. And so I'm like, how does this work? How are we nonprofits, but there's money coming in and I have a salary, they have salaries. And so I started getting really interested in how that word philanthropy and nonprofit works. So long story short, I made a couple of pivots, did the stay at home and take care of my family thing for about 8 years. And then I had to pivot back into the workforce full time. But all that time I was doing this work anyway. So I was continuing to grow, continuing to volunteer, continuing to take on clients, and then went back into work as a full-time employee in 2022, I think was my job, or late 2021. So it has been a mixture of all things. when I met you, I think we both like bonded over politics because
Yeah.
you told me that I wasn't going to law school and getting my MSW and gonna work on policy and legislation. And it's like, I don't really think that's it. So I'm gonna pivot on to something else. So I feel like most of my adult life has been pivoting from moving several different times, navigating. Even good things in life come with needing a little window of time to pivot because having a
Yeah.
baby, it's like, man, I gotta pivot. Like this person is
Yeah.
depending on me. Like,
Yeah.
how's he gonna eat me?
Yeah.
How's it me? Let me fix
Right.
this. And I'm so sorry. His hair is in my face. So one time for the bohemian braids that were off. So
They're cute.
that's me. It's been exactly what you say. I do want to throw in that I have two amazing sisters who are
Yay.
just phenomenal, and I don't give them enough credit in how much they play a
Oh,
role in my journey, and they're phenomenal in their own careers and families. And so that's one part that I do want to say, that I have two
oh,
amazing sisters that one's a licensed clinical social worker and the other
okay.
is a registered nurse. So we're all kind of in that serving
Taking
business.
care of people.
Yeah. So
Taking care of people.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's all more
And
important
I
than
love it. I love it. And I have my sister is like my wing woman. So we're Batman and Robin. We're the Wonder Twins. But you're probably too young to know about the Wonder Twins. But we're the Wonder Twins, and we always say, we are yin and yang. We're opposite, but when I tell you we have a good time together, and she's always telling people, they're like, y'all are completely opposite. Like I'm the like to keep my hair done, like to dress fashionable, da da da. And my sister's like, yeah, I'm cutting all this hair off because I don't want to fool with it. And she's a minimalist. And I'm like, no, we got to go shopping. And yeah, we're total opposites. And it's so funny. She's darker skinned, I'm lighter skinned, and people are like, y'all are the most opposite, but y'all be cracking yourselves up. I'm like, we do. I love her. Like she is one of my motivators, an encourager, and she's in the medical field as well. She teaches epic training to all the doctors and nurses. They are flipping from paper charting and all of that stuff to everything's going to be electronic. So she teaches those classes to hospitals. And so I admire you sharing and shouting out your sisters, because sometimes we need that bond of someone to help us keep going from day to day, because sometimes these pivots can knock us on our behinds, but you have somebody to come alongside you, say, you know what, get up, shake it off, and let's keep it moving.
keep it moving.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and
Nobody
I
does a sibling.
appreciate,
Yeah, thank you. No,
huh?
of course. I said nobody does that like a sibling. Nobody.
Yeah. No matter how friends, no matter, companions, it's just something about that sibling that comes alongside you and say, I got you no matter what. And, no matter what, you can always turn to and depend on that person. We may fall out, but you coming right back together. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, I got you no matter what.
Yeah. So shout out to all the siblings, right? And I'm the
Yay.
oldest. So this
Yeah,
is this is a season of my life where I've let my baby sisters take care of me, right? Like let them,
that's right.
you know.
Yeah, because I'm the big sister too. So, but my sister acts like she's the big sister. I'm like, you're not the boss of me. You do know I'm older than you. You do know that, right? So you talked about pivoting and in different arenas of life, right? So as from, of course, going from college to marriage to a child to no marriage, but still a child and career. What was the biggest pivot for you, I think, up to this point? What has been the biggest pivot?
Oh man. Um, I think as a child, I
Mm,
think that there is just this one thing that once this person is here, you'll make any decision. Um, that you think is best for them in the moment. And so one of my biggest pivots recently was moving back to Georgia. I
mm,
actually love Fayetteville, Arkansas. I thought I would build a beautiful life in Arkansas, that I would grow my career there. And then life happened and it was best for me to move my son to Georgia. And so here I was, I had just gotten this really cool radio show out in Northwest Arkansas. And I was so excited about my career and where it was headed. Excited about the community of people that I was with. And then it was like, well, this is gonna be best for my son.
yeah,
So I'm gonna make that decision. So that would probably be the hardest
yeah,
thing
yeah.
that I've done. recently was make that decision. So yeah, pivoting and saying, I like it here, but something's better for my son in
Mm-hmm.
Georgia. So, and
And
those
that's
are moments that you don't know if it's the right decision or the wrong decision. It's the best decision you can make at the time. And I think that's what guides most of my pivots right now, which is based on the information that I had, based on the
yeah,
decision I made at the
yeah,
moment, the best decision. And I realized that no one makes a bad decision until it doesn't
right,
turn out the way we wanted it
right.
to, right? It's the greatest decision we could make if it's going
Mm-hmm.
well. When it
Mm-hmm.
starts to hit the fan, if it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't turn out how we want it to, then oh, that was a bad decision. It wasn't a bad decision. There
Yeah,
were things that turned it into
yeah,
some
yeah,
bad choices, but it wasn't a bad decision. It just didn't turn out how you wanted it to. So when I define things as bad in my life, I ask myself, was it bad or did it not meet my expectations? Was it
That's
bad
good.
or was it simply it didn't turn out how I thought it would? And that can be in
Yeah,
a job, that can be in anything. So
yeah,
as I move in this season of my life, it's more so about move, pivot, go, do
mhm,
it. You know what I mean? Like your knees
mhm,
might not be how they used to when you're trying to hit a little, but you can
yeah.
move. So yeah.
And I love that because you're right. A lot of times we make a decision, and you're right, it could be going fantastic. But then all of a sudden, something happens, and it's like, wait a minute,
I
I
should have
didn't
did.
prepare for this. I didn't expect this.
Mhm.
This is not this is not what I saw. And so you're right. We let that determine whether it's a good or bad decision. And you're right. We have to own the fact that I made the best decision I could at that time in that moment for whatever reason. And I always say, if it's for you, it won't go past you. No matter what it looks like, it could be the best thing, like you said, the radio show. You're all excited and you're ready, and I got a new community, a new opportunity, and then wait, oh, I got to pivot. But I want this right here. But if it's for you, it won't go past you. So no matter, it didn't happen then, but that's not to say that it's not going to happen somewhere else. And then the next move, it could be bigger and better.
Yeah.
So, I'm learning in my older age to accept every moment, every situation, and then sit in it for a minute to think, okay, what am I supposed to learn out of this? Because a lot of times it's something we need to learn or grow from. Because if we stay in one place, we become stagnant and not, we don't produce as much. But a lot of times we have to move because we are comfortable. God gets you out of your comfort zone. Like one of my big pivots was one moving to Georgia, but the second one of the other ones is leaving Procter and Gamble, a job that I had had for 10 years, and they decided to downsize and shut the company down here in Augusta, Georgia. And I had an opportunity to move, but at that moment I was like, yeah, no, I'm done with moving. I've moved my whole life, lived in plenty of cities across the states, this was my first time really being in the South. I'm from the Midwest up north. And I was like, you know what? I'm tired of moving. I want roots. I want to be solid. I want to be connected to community. I want to have a home. I don't want to be uprooting like I have been every 3 to 4 years. And so that pivot to let go of Procter and Gamble, a very profitable job, career. Um, I miss that to this day, but I wouldn't have never probably met you because that's how I got into politics. I didn't choose politics. I tell people all the time, politics chose me. And so, but that was one of the biggest pivots. And then I could look back and say, well, dang, that didn't work out good because this, and this happened. But no, everything happened the way it was supposed to, because at the end of the day, I think a lot of it is God wants to know, are you going to trust him at the end of the day?
Yeah.
Because we make decisions and sometimes we don't even consult with him. And he was like, you didn't even ask me. You just did this on your own. Oh, so you grown. So, okay.
You got it. I'm gonna wait till you come back.
Right.
And that's like me in law school, right? So I literally was registered for the LSAT in 2020. And as you know, COVID came. I'm like, I'm going
Yeah.
to law school. It's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
COVID comes, they give you a year to take your test. Within that year, I actually conceived a baby. I'm excited, lose the baby at 21 weeks. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm devastated. And
Yeah.
then another, 6 weeks from that, another life event just is like boom, boom, boom. And I'm like,
No.
okay, was I supposed to go to law school? Like, was I supposed to be doing that? What would be happening to me right now? And then I realized it was just a career that I romanticized. Like, I am going to be an attorney. I am going to be fly every day. You know, this is prior to Scandal, but just think Kerry Washington and Scandal fly
Yes.
every day. And then I was like, you know, you can buy cute clothes right now. You know, you can be a woman who dresses like that for no reason. Like, if that's what you think to owe somebody $100,000, girl, you need to go back to the drawing board. And it was just one of the things I realized what I want to do. I don't have to have a law degree for it. I don't have to have a law degree to help support nonprofits. I definitely don't have to have a law degree to work in fundraising. So, what is it that I would have wanted to do with the law degree? What is it other than say I was a lawyer, right? And then it was just one of those like, have I ever taken that to God? Or has it always been something that I said myself? Has it always been something that was not what I was supposed to be doing, but I was always going to find a distraction in that? That I was always going to find that if I said law school was the goal, people would say, oh, you can go to law school anytime. It's $100,000.
Yes.
That and 2 kids. Am I really about to be out here hustling my way up to the top of somebody's? It is not about to happen. So I need to be realistic with myself, where I'm in this season of life.
Right.
Now at 9, my child has football practice 3 days a week.
Yes. Yes.
Somebody,
how realistic is that? Yeah. Because those are late nights, early mornings, weekend reviewing notes and laws and consulting with clients. Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot. So let me go over here. Let me figure out how to be a great nonprofit consultant. Let me figure out how to network with a ton of organizations so I can figure out how to serve them. Let me help people get connected. And I feel like that is what I'm supposed to be doing. Sometimes I don't know how to do that as a career, other than, and it's like, how do I do that? Yeah. Then I remind myself that just keep doing what you're doing, and it will turn into full time, and it will turn into a lucrative career if that's the way, So I just think that that, like you said, he wants to know that we're going to trust him. And sometimes in the pivot, you got to know that you can trust yourself. Right? Yes. I got to know that I'm capable of making good solid. Yes. I got to trust the gut that probably was telling me something forever ago, but I'm just like, no. Girl, And so I think in this season, again, the pivot is I can trust me. I know me. I've always known me. I've always known what I'm supposed to be doing. I've always known that I've had this thing, whatever it is, I don't know. I love people. Just do that. Trust that. You are not, so that's another thing in this space.
And I think too, so a couple of things, the trusting yourself and believing in who he created you to be. He tells us we're fearfully and wonderfully made, but he also says that we're fitly furnished and fully equipped for every good work. And I remind myself of that every day because I'm like you, growing up, I wanted to be a social worker. And it was more about people, from an early age. Like I can remember 9, 10 years old, living in Lawton, Oklahoma, my sister and I in the backyard. She's always wanted to do movies and plays and writing. That's her thing. We were doing full-fledged plays in the backyard with a sheet as the curtain. We had a team of our neighborhood kids, but I was always the one documenting everything. I was the one always, making sure people showed up, making sure they felt, at 9 and 10 years old, like I had no clue, but I used to always say I want to be a social worker. And to end up in politics, it's kind of like social work, right? But I think too, our gifts make room for ourselves. That's what the Bible tells us. Your gift will make room for you. A lot of times we have these gifts on the inside of us and we really don't know, is this direction? Or, we have these grandiose ideas of like you and this attorney. So people used to call me Olivia Pope because they considered me a fixer, because working in politics, working in this community, it was always called Tonia. That was one of the mayor's standard answers to anybody asking him anything. Call Tonia, sir. But he had a confidence, I think, in me that I might not have had in myself. But I figured it out because there was no roadmap for me for what I was doing. This was all new to me. This was foreign. But I think to your point about trusting yourself, trusting what you know about yourself, trusting what you believe about yourself. And a lot of times when we lack trust in ourselves, that makes others not trust us because we don't trust ourselves. So how do we expect others to trust us with whatever it is, whatever work, whatever project, whatever it is? And so I love that you said that hits home for me. So I'm like, oh yeah, Tanya, you got to start trusting yourself because, and it's not that we don't think we're bad. I mean, we think we're bad. I think it's just, am I really capable? And my hesitation, I think a big piece of it is because I don't have a college degree. I did 1 year of college and then I got married and then life happened. And I was like, I'm not paying all this money for what? Like for a piece of paper? And I get it so I don't knock anybody who has a degree. I don't knock anybody who wants to go. But as for me, at my house, I was like, yeah, no, I'm not paying all that money. And then to turn around, you're not going to compensate me for this degree. I'm going to have student loans. I'm going, yeah, no, I'm not interested. And so for me, experience was my education, getting my feet wet in certain arenas. I worked, in different arenas. And so, but that's also grace, God's grace and favor, because a lot of people look at me like, wait, what? You don't have a degree and you did da-da-da-da-da. Yeah. And then when I look back and think about it myself, I'm like, oh, see, girl, you can do it. Well, you don't need anybody to validate who you are. You know who you are.
You know who you are. And I think there's a space too where like there is a season of your life where you might be like, okay, I know how to trust God when I'm a good person. Mm-hmm. I know how to trust God when I haven't like done anything bad.
Yeah.
I'm not seeking forgiveness. I know how to trust God like when I think good things about myself. But I think when you have a season where you're like, oh wait, I could do bad things. Like me, not me. Like, yeah, you could. And even in the Bible, there are people that will be really good people. You can, like, I think that is a space in trusting yourself because you are like, I trust my gifts.
Yeah.
And I said this clearly. I trust my gifts. I trust who God really made me to be. Yeah. I may not trust the person I was in that season because she wasn't worth trusting, worth nothing. Right. But I trust who God made me to be. And that's the difference. Because I don't have to depend on who I was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
To be who I am at 40 and 30 days. I wouldn't trust that girl neither because I don't know her. Like I don't really know her. She was I trust who God made me to be. It's my job to be in my ways, in my thoughts, in my actions, in the way that I honor him with my gifts. I trust that. It's not that I'm trusting myself. I'm trusting who he really, really made me to be.
Right.
When I really step into that, I feel so unstoppable. Like I feel like there's nothing I can't do. When I feel like, I know that. There's a song, and I don't know your audience, but listen, it's a very explicit song. And it's a Jeezy song. He says, I couldn't lose if I even tried, right? And for me, when I hear that, I remind myself that even though you're trying to fail, I'm trying to lose. I'm like, come on, girl, lose.
Like, but that's a great motivator. I couldn't lose even if I tried because of who he created me to be. Yeah.
Like, when I hear that, all I hear is God. Like that's all I hear. I know, like so that for me is like it ain't me.
Yeah.
Fail.
Yeah.
Even if I was trying to mess this life of mine up.
Yes.
Still I have no more breath in my body. I can't lose.
Yeah.
You're not gonna let that happen to me. It's not gonna happen. It might look different. It might have challenges.
Right.
I couldn't lose even if I tried.
Yeah. I love it.
I believe that wholeheartedly. And that's what is, the process of the pivot, which is, look, girl, it might look different. Oh, right now you might gotta figure some stuff out. I couldn't
I love it. I love that. I'm gonna start using it. I couldn't lose even if I try. Listen, you done created a monster now.
I could. So with that in my heart, I know I'll be fine.
Okay. I love it. And sometimes it takes things like that to remind us, do you know you have to remind yourself, do you know who you are? Do you know who you are? And some days I have to ask myself that question. Do you know who you are, girl? Do you know whose you are? Like, come on. Now you know better than this. So that's a great reminder for everybody, and you can find it in the littlest thing because he's that simple, right? Like, people get all spooky spiritual, and I'm not one of those people. I love God, I do, but I'm also not that spooky spiritual. You only can get stuff from gospel or no. You listen. I was riding down the street one day and I saw a sign. I was like, oh, that spoke volumes to me, and I'm like, okay, God, I hear you. That simple. So to get that snapshot out of that song to say, hey, even if I tried, I can't lose, no matter what I do, because I'm and one of my sayings for years and years and years has been destined for greatness. How about you? And sometimes I have to remind myself, girl, okay, this didn't work out. You didn't get that contract. Yes, you don't have the money you want in the bank right now, but it's coming. Believe that. Keep pushing and keep going. Don't confine yourself to what it has to look like. Like, like you said, the suits and the the flair and all of that stuff with being Olivia Pope. Sometimes it's not going to look put together. Sometimes it's not going to be the glitz and the glamour and the bling like I love. Sometimes it's just going to be this past weekend was a prime example. We had Arts in the Heart of Augusta here, the festival, a yearly festival. And I had perks when I was a part of the mayor's office. And some of those perks I don't have anymore. Mm-hmm. But let me tell you how good God is. I reached out to a friend. I was like, hey, I want to get the tickets because on a certain day, at the day before the festival, the tickets are like $5 cheaper. The ticket prices was $15 and it was going to $20. But it's for 3 days. It's not a big deal. I just didn't want to pay it. So I said, hey, I want to get the $15 price. I know you guys close at such and such time. Can you do me a favor? Get me the ticket. I'll bring you the cash tomorrow. And he was like, sure, I got you. No problem, whatever. Later on that evening, now, mind you, I always do VIP. I don't like general because I done got spoiled. But I was like, I'm not going to ask nobody for no VIP badge. So lo and behold, a couple hours later, he reaches out. He's like, hey, you know what? I got 2 VIP badges. They're wristbands, but you trade them in for a badge. I'm going to give them to you. You're such a good friend, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, Jesus. It was an unspoken prayer. He knew I wanted to go to VIP. And I said, I didn't even have to ask for that. You gave it to me without me. So if you can do something that small, there's nothing you can't do, right? Okay. So a lot of times we just can't imagine what he can do or will do for us. It's just, have you asked? Have you sought him? Like, so that goes back to that. Even if I tried, I can't lose. Like, I'm always going to be VIP status. I mean, that's just who I am.
You talking about perks, girl. I miss some of them perks, And I think that's the thing. I'm like, hold on now, hold on. What I gotta do, I'm like, maybe I want to go to a game. How much is this ticket? You want to see that? I'm not doing that, right? So you will. And I feel like sometimes that's a reminder, like, he doesn't give you those experiences and say, this is the only way that you're going to experience it. No, we all need exposure. We all need experiences.
Right.
And sometimes it comes through people, right?
Yeah.
Again, it'll be like something random, like, hey, what you doing today? You want to go do this? How you want to go? Where you want to go? Where your seats at? I don't want to sound like that, but where and it's like, all I gotta do, it's just that God is like, girl, ain't nothing but a concert.
Ain't nothing to him.
Girl,
you like, is that all?
That's all you look for, girl. Bye.
Right.
I think like there's a moment where I used to love Ephesians and still love Ephesians 3:20, but I realized I wasn't even walking that out. I don't even know it exceedingly and abundantly above all I could think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This little itty bitty thing that I'm asking a big God.
Yeah.
Like, oh, baby, I need you to come on over here.
Come on up a little higher.
Come on up over here.
Come on up a little higher.
This ain't even where it needs to be.
Exactly.
So I think that is what it means to pivot to your thought process. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm over here asking God for like peanuts. Like, oh, you don't want the feel? Okay, girl.
Right.
You come to peanuts. So I think I want to encourage all of us to know, like, it may sound ridiculous to put some of this stuff down on paper. It may sound like you are being so outlandish to put some of these things down on paper. And what I had to remind myself was that it doesn't have to be things that I'm asking for.
That's
it doesn't have to be a new house. It doesn't have to be a physical thing. Like, what I'm asking God for are things that, like, my great grandchildren will be grateful for.
Yes.
I'm asking God for things like, Lord, just let my health be well. Right?
Yes.
I'm asking for things that I may have never seen in the flesh in my own family. I want those things because I've had things.
Yeah.
And so I think being able to say what I get from being like, all right, God, I see you. I see you doing your big one on little B all the time. Gives me another level of like this little space on my journey of figuring out how to pivot how to
Mhm.
pivot in silence sometimes.
Yes.
How
Yeah.
to pivot in a space where I don't have to make an announcement. I don't have
Right.
to put some little post up on Instagram.
Right.
I don't have
Right.
to be funny, right? Like pivoting in silence is like, you okay? I am. It just ain't your business if I am or if I'm not, right?
That that
Do
part.
you work? Do you pay any of these mortgages that I have?
That part.
Right?
That part.
What's the point? You got a
Mhm.
babysitter? Are you trying to keep Alex for me? All right, let's
Right.
talk about the solution that you're trying to help me find for
Right.
my life.
Right. Right.
And so learning to pivot sometimes mean like your circle pivot,
Mhm.
your friend group pivot,
Absolutely.
your ability and
Absolutely.
your social things, they pivot. Like I
Mhm.
am such an outgoing person, and maybe it helps that I live very far from the city. Because if
Yeah.
I lived in the city, I don't even know what I would be doing right now.
Yeah.
At
Yeah.
9 o'clock
Yeah.
downtown Atlanta, and
Right. Right.
I don't know,
Right.
right? Maybe I
Right.
saved up all the money because I live 45 minutes away.
Right.
Um, but it also helps me to pivot. What do I like to do right now? Do I want to get back into making my chocolate dip treats? Do I want to
Mhm.
focus on learning to do something new?
Yeah.
And so that's what, for me right now, like trusting God, trusting myself, and understanding that it's okay. Like you really will be okay. It can look very
Yeah.
different and it can feel a whole lot better. It
Mhm.
can look very different and it can be way more peaceful. Your
Yeah.
career can have these.
Yes. Yes.
I didn't work full time for 8 years.
Mm.
I
Girl, you was blessed.
was
Woo,
right
Jesus.
when the job needed to come, right? So here I was applying for jobs, had a spreadsheet, like people, might give me a couple interviews. I didn't get a full-time job till I was in the midst of a divorce.
Wow.
That job came right on time.
Right on time when you needed it. When
Right
you
on.
needed it.
And I was gonna make the move to Georgia. It was coming very, very fast. Like what happened? I don't know. Lord, I need to make more money than this, and I need to be like completely remote if this is really gonna be. And God gave me that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like all I did was ask. I
That's
was in
it.
a prayer group. No one knew that I was buying a house except the people that I knew was gonna get a prayer through for me. And
Yes.
I
Yes.
didn't share that with nobody else.
Yes.
So it was for me what I learned right now in my pivot was I have some prayer warriors with me, baby. I call them my Valley crew. And them
Yeah.
ladies, they never got to worry about me not showing up for them in any capacity, big or small.
That's
And
it.
some of them have been my friends since I was in high school. And we probably hadn't talked in 15 years, 10 years, saw each other at a homecoming. And we're back, like,
Yeah,
we're
like
going
nothing ever
to
missed a beat.
adults. You know what I mean? Like we're gonna get to know each other, but there's
Mhm.
this comfort in like I've known you my whole life, right?
Yeah.
It creates like a you may not know what's going on in my adult life,
Yeah.
but I'm just Taisha with you.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it creates this level of like, don't give us this mess that we see on Facebook. Don't give us,
Yeah.
girl, how you doing?
Yeah.
Right? I'm probably
Yeah.
finna cry
Yeah.
thinking about them.
Yeah.
So it's been a beautiful season of pivoting to understand like I need hangout friends, but I need praying friends.
Yes,
I need
Lord.
friends to hold me accountable. I
Yes,
need for
Lord.
my friendships to pivot into the beautiful space that God really created me to be. And
Yeah.
I can't do that
Mhm.
if everything in my life doesn't pivot in the same direction. Like
Mhm.
I can't
Mhm.
become a woman who wants accountability, but I hang out with people who like aren't bold enough to tell me when I'm wrong. I
Right.
can't be a woman who is a great mom if I always get somebody who will let me have an excuse for like, oh yeah, he's doing all right in school, but I don't really have that doesn't work. Like everything
Right.
has to match up in every
Right.
capacity that you're headed to. And so I think that is a beautiful thing for me because at first you kind of think like I'm pivoting, but everything has to make that turn. It's like being on a motorcycle with somebody.
Right.
Everything has to move in the same
That's right.
direction. Because
That's
if
right.
not, you're gonna have a lot of tension and a lot of trying to fit where you no longer fit. And it's
Right.
okay. Baby, I want to be on a smooth motorcycle ride. I want my job to be
I
able to
know
have
that's right.
feet touch the
I know
ground.
that's right. I don't want no accidents. I don't want to get burned on the pipes. I want us to be smooth sailing.
Smooth
Mm-hmm.
sailing, baby. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So just
And I
know
love
that
that.
everything's moving.
I love the friendship piece because that's key and important, especially as women. Women are nurturers. We're, typically we're very inviting into our space. Sometimes we do have some women that are more guarded than others. And I'm like that. Like, I'm an open book, and I want to be friends with everybody, but I'm learning, especially as I get older, that it's not meant for me to be friends with everybody. And even the friends that I have, they're in certain categories. Like, who that friend is, that no matter what, like you said, they're going to pray. They're going to get a prayer through. And some friends know everything and some friends don't, according to what you're able to handle. And I sometimes I've done an oversharing with the wrong friend, thinking that they're gonna have my back, they're gonna show up, and that's just not the case. Even though I do that because I'm that person that I try to show up for everybody. And then it's a struggle for people to show up for me. And so then I'm like, well, wait a minute. But some people just don't have the capacity. Sometimes you're mismatched. A lot of times people think, how can two walk together unless they agree? They think that's just marriage. That's in any relationship. That's in friendships, that's in marriages, that's in, careers. And so I find myself pivoting with relationships, you know, pivoting to a point where, okay, yeah, we're cool and we're friends and I love you and I'm going to support you. However, I'm not going to give you as much as my time, my energy, my support, because I don't want to be out of balance. I don't want to be bankrupt from a friendship standpoint because I'm giving and not receiving what I need in return. And so those prayer warriors, like I have a couple of people that I call, and my sister is, of course, number one. Hey, I need you to pray about this. Hey, this is what's going on. And she immediately praying, and I ain't got to worry about hearing it. I ain't got to worry about being judged. And like you said, are you calling with a solution? Do you have something for me? Or you just want to know what's going on? Like, kind of what we doing? What we doing?
What you want to know? What you want to know?
Right? Like, what's really going
and
on?
it's okay. I have being an overshare, right? And I just told her name is Mariah, and I just told Mariah how much I appreciated her, because it's almost like you don't even know you're doing it, or you have your own reasons why you're oversharing. Like, I want to go ahead and get this out there, right? I'm gonna go ahead and say it, but it's like, for what? It don't even matter.
Right.
It doesn't even matter. And she said, I think, right. And she had experienced being an overshare and had gone through therapy. So she saved me a couple $1,000 by sharing with her therapy. So thank you, Mariah, honey. And that for me is like, that friendship piece is another level of I don't know if you can see me. Okay. Of our layered existence as people. And as we navigate the life of like single woman friends, married friends, if you're divorced friends, if you have children, those friends. A lot of times it's close proximity of where you are in your life. Okay, we're friends because our spouses are friends. So are we friends? Because if I don't talk to his friend anymore, then maybe we weren't ever really friends. We just were in close proximity. And so there's a space where you're like, okay, cool. Let me pivot. Let me move on. Let me see where I'm at in my life. Let me be a good friend, right? If we think we want good friends, we got to say, are we being good friends?
That part.
Where it wasn't until I was I definitely was an adult. I don't know what year I met her, but it was the first time I went to God and I said, Lord, let me be a good friend. Like, teach me how to be a good friend to her. I want to be responsible with her friendship. Like, and I pray that I have done that during the course of I think it's probably been about 7 or 8 years. It's been that long. It hadn't been that long. Maybe 5 or 6. Maybe, I don't know. I don't even know when I met her. I'm going to ask her today when I talk to her. But I remember going to God and saying, like, let me be responsible with these friendships that you get. As adult women, it is so hard to meet women and be friends, right? So I gotta know she's got a husband, she's got 2 kids, we don't live in the same state. She can't call me every day. Right? My marriage could be struggling, her marriage could be struggling at the same time. She ain't got capacity for mine. Right. Because she said, you know what I mean? Like, all those things you have to take into account when you're being with someone. If I just had a newborn and you just had a newborn, girl, all I want to know is, are you sleeping? Okay, fine. Eating? Okay, fine. I ain't got nothing right now. But knowing how to manage those expectations. Knowing how to be a friend that says, this is a different season of life for me. I used to intentionally be like, hey, in the world that I was in, everybody was away from their family. Very
Yeah.
few people, you don't live in Fayetteville, Arkansas. You live
Right.
for a job.
Right.
So even before that, I was very intentional with saying, like, hey, like, I will babysit your children so you can have a date night. I
Yeah.
know what that's like.
Yeah.
I know what your family needs. Like, bring these kids over here and let me be.
Right. Right.
And I did that from my heart, and I pray that
Yes.
it's a way to pour into people's space. It
Yes.
also comes from knowing what I needed, right? It also comes from saying, if that's something that I needed, I'm
Right.
sure other people need that
Somebody else
too.
does. Yeah.
So why
Yeah.
don't I just say, hey, I got you? It's an
Yeah.
open invitation. Just come
Yeah.
to the mall. So I think knowing like you're gonna have different levels of friendships and pivoting in friendships and life circumstances that change friendships. And it's okay.
Yeah.
You know, like me and my girlfriend and I'm telling you, I prayed about, like, we're like, girl, we're so thankful for our day twos, right?
Yeah.
Have your
Yeah.
day ones, because them your people.
That's right.
Them
That's
your
right.
people. The
That's right.
problem is when we can't have day twos because we like, I don't do that. We can't
Right.
do that. And you
Right.
can be just as good as a friend to them
Yeah.
as you are to someone you knew from the cradle. You
Yeah.
you just gotta choose that that's what you want to be. Right now, I am choosing what I want to be. I want to
Mm-hmm.
be an excellent mama. I
Yeah.
want when I got he about tall as me, so you know I got in the box and I'm like, hey, you know, nah. Because there is a space where I have to realize my 9-year-old is growing faster than I'm not growing anymore.
Yeah.
Um, and he is the sweetest kid and has the greatest posture about
Yeah.
himself.
Yeah.
And I'm supposed to have abs by November, and I don't. So I went to boxing today. I'm like, come on, and I'm like, you know what? Just go ahead. Just. I don't think they're coming before these. I don't think they're coming before the end.
And
Um,
he is so sweet. I met him when he was a little toddler, and he's so cute and sweet and lovable. And MJ, my godson, and him hit it off. They were little buds,
yeah,
doing some things when we were hanging out, and it's so amazing to see these little people become big people. And he's MJ is, and they're both smart, very smart.
mhm.
MJ, I asked him yesterday. I said, "Hey, I'm going down to Arts in the Heart. Do you want to go?" I texted him. He said no. I was like, oh, okay. But then he texts back and he was like, I didn't mean to say no harsh. And I was like, what is he?
I love that when Alex says something. So I didn't mean to say it like that, Mom. Like I didn't mean like it in any type of way. You know, I'm like good because you know there's a
And I
spectrum.
didn't even think anything of it. I just was like, okay. But
Okay,
in his mind, I guess he was like, wait, I can't talk to my Gigi like that. And
yeah.
I didn't take it harshly, but some grown people wouldn't have picked that up. Some grown people wouldn't have come back with that reply. And I'm just like, this little person is like, really growing up and maturing. And it's just like, wow.
Yeah, I feel like one of the greatest things I could teach my son is emotional intelligence early on, how to
Yeah.
regulate your thoughts.
Yeah.
You're gonna be sad. You're going to have
Yeah.
these things. And I think I learned and still learning is that sometimes as a parent, we don't let our children see us experience life, right?
Yeah.
I don't let you see me have emotions. I don't let you do
Yeah.
certain things. And so having to go through something with him for the first time, for real, like a divorce is a real thing. You go
Yeah.
through it with your kid, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
one, I am not your responsibility. I am a
Yeah.
single woman. I am not a single parent. My
Right.
emotions are my own to regulate. You are not responsible for me in any way, shape, form, or fashion.
Right.
I will correct somebody respectfully very quickly. He is a child. Just
That's
because you do
right.
not see his father with us, he is not responsible for anything that an adult is responsible for. Please
That's
do
right.
not to my child.
That's
Because
right.
never have I heard that when I was with his father.
Yeah.
He's a child.
Yeah.
He will continue to be a child and he
Yeah.
will be a child.
That's right.
For me, I feel like I have to be very careful because now I am like, okay, well, in his mind, he's the man of this house, and I tell him the
Mhm.
more you just do on first, you know.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, you don't run a thing over
Yeah. That's right. That's right. Yeah. There's reality to that. Yeah.
don't we're not giving into that.
Yeah.
Think he can
Absolutely.
help me out more, or and especially because he's getting older,
Yeah.
but knowing that my son is a child and he will still be
Yeah.
treated like a child, he will still be
Yeah.
raised like a child.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And helping him navigate how to talk to me about his feelings. Because You have your own feelings about a divorce. You have your own questions about a divorce. So the greatest thing I've been able to do is to create a space where like you can ask me what you want to ask me. And if you're sad and there's something happening and you want to say it, okay. And I can be honest with you about some of the things that I'm feeling. Right. In a childlike, responsible way, so that we can have that. So our own emotional abilities. I can remember several years ago, my word of the year was discipline. But I took discipline to be like, I got up at 5:30. I worked out. I didn't eat Oreos all day. You know, I'm physically disciplining myself, but not emotionally disciplining. And so I had a situation with my neighbor that I was like, I was Taisha. Ty and Taisha could be a little different sometimes. Okay. Taisha had a conversation with my neighbor. And one of the comments that like one of our friends said was like, oh, you just didn't have any emotional discipline. And I didn't, because my response was based off emotions. Yeah. Only emotional when I responded to her. Yeah. Wait, I need to think about all the areas of my life that need my financial discipline, my emotional discipline, you know, my little need to have, you know, a want and do I need it right now? Do I not need it right now? Right. You know, figure it out. So learning to do those things, like all of those things happen because of situations that required us to pivot. Yeah. Right. So I think that goes back to me, which is like the way I felt 6 months ago, I feel so different now. Yeah. And I'm so glad I didn't have the responses that I would have if I didn't have the emotional discipline that I had. Right. When you get divorced, oh, you be like, oh, I can repost that. But you be like, no, somebody gonna read too much into that. Right. Right. And if you don't know me in real life, and if you don't know how funny I am anyway, you be like, oh, she nasty. I know, and we all know it's funny, and we probably know somebody that exactly. But now you know I'm getting divorced, and it's like, it's funny, right? Yeah. So I think all of those things of having the discipline to say nothing is ever going to be worth who I'm becoming, right? Yeah. Me getting on the internet and acting a fool, or me, who I'm becoming. Oh, she can't afford that right now. I've done too much to be anything other than that. Yeah. And so learning to pivot in the space of, I just got to send it to my friends in the group chat. Right. Listen, I have like 4 or 5 different group chats. You gotta be careful what you send it to which group. It's like, okay, who want that today, right? I do some of the most the reels and the funny ones that with the crap. And my friends are like, this is good. I'm like, yeah, but you know, girl, we can't never post that. But it's so funny. So I think all of those things are not because we're trying to be anything other than what we are on social media. It's just like, I want to honor who he has made me to be. And sometimes that stuff, when I'm all the way to the left, that stuff ain't really I'm to the left. I did that the wrong way, y'all. That's not like, I'm like, wait, my right from my left. Let me make sure. But it's one of those things where like I want to honor who he's made me to be, and I can't do what I'm supposed to do if like I'm out here doing things that goes against that, rather in public or in private, right? So now I really am who I'm supposed to be, right? I really don't have to pretend. I really never have been a big pretender online. We've all made choices that we'd be like, oh, come on, you know better than that. Right. But it doesn't mean that I'm not who I say I am. It doesn't mean I'm not a good person. It doesn't mean I'm not a good mom. It doesn't mean I'm not a good friend. It means I'm like everybody else. And when I realized like, hey girl, did you know you were human and you could Right. We're not superwoman. Yeah, and you just decide that, like you decide how you're gonna pivot in those situations, which is what does that look like? So even we talked about my social media right now, where I'm like, I kind of want another social media page because my page is the same as my podcast, the same as my website. I want to talk all things nonprofit, but I'm scared to pivot over here because I really don't want to be doing like, all right, get ready with me, guys. I don't want to do that. I don't have to do that. Just because another Instagram page. Yeah. I don't have to do that. So I am afraid right now. We talked about all the pivots I have made. I am afraid to pivot to another social media page. And I am afraid because I want to do it and do it well. Yes. But I want to do it and stay true to myself. But I want to do it in a way that like really supports people on their journey. That really is like, hey, and this has been a couple different variations. So the first one was vows to myself. And it was where I want to help women make, keep, and repeat vows to themselves so we create a life that we love, right?
Okay.
Because the reality is we make promises to our spouses, to our children, to our jobs. But when it comes to something that we're telling ourselves, it's like, oh, I'll get back to it, right?
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
oh, I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm gonna do
Yep.
that because but like,
Yep.
how do I make a promise to me? How do I make a vow to myself and I keep it? And
Yeah.
eventually my life is something I love because I'm just keeping promises to myself
Yeah.
over and over again. And I say, no, don't do it.
Yep. Yep.
Why
Yep.
not?
Because you that accountability, like we spoke of earlier, a lot of times I think we can be accountable to a whole lot of people, just like you mentioned, but it's hard to be accountable to yourself. It's hard to be accountable to yourself.
It's hard. I went to the gym at 5:30, like I said, for the first day, and I was like, woo. I set my alarm for 4:50. I was watching the game last night. I set my alarm for 4:50. I automatically got tired. I couldn't do it no more. I couldn't even finish the game. Because I was like, I know I'm not gonna get up on time.
Yeah.
No, I'm not, because I'm gonna be
I
tired.
feel this, but the consistency though, the discipline, because I'm on a healthier journey too, and it struggle. It was a struggle. I was on the struggle bus for a while, but now I'm to the point where if I miss more than 2 days of walking, and I walk between 30 minutes to an hour, a track here at the Y, I feel off. And so, but it took me a minute to get there because I'm like you, that alarm clock, oh, jeez, do I really want to walk today? And, anything could be an excuse. Oh, well, I got an 11 o'clock meeting. Well, just get up a little bit earlier. It's like, because I, thank God, have the luxury of working from home and I make my own schedule. So, I don't get out of bed till at least 7:30, even though I set my alarm for 6:30. I just hit snooze. And then when I get up, it's like, okay, go ahead and get to the gym and get back because you need to be on point and be ready to go by 9:30, no later than 10. But yeah, I'll be lollygagging. But I do go. I do walk. At least the weekdays. I'm working up to these weekends, but Monday through Friday, typically, as long as it's not raining, I'm walking. But it took a minute. It took that discipline that, okay, Tonya, you want these results, you want these pounds gone, but what you doing to help that? It's not just about eating, but it's also about exercising. And also, like you said, I want to live to be I want to live a long time. I want to live a healthy life. I don't want to have issues with weight. I don't want to have issues with diabetes. I don't want to have all of those physical ailments that a lot of my family on both sides have. What am I going to do to change that? Am I committed enough to me? Am I accountable enough to me to get the results that I want to see? So that pivot is like retraining your brain. Listen, you got a part to play. You can't just be like, God help me. He be looking like, girl, okay, he like, and what you gonna do? You play a part in this too. Like, don't think I'm a magician. Don't think I'm some superhero that's just gonna snap my finger and you gonna be, that size 14 that you want to be, or that, no, you got to put some work, some work in, sis. That's what he be telling you. Got to put that work in.
I know. I tell myself all the time. So one of the things I ask myself is the girl in my mind, the version of myself in my mind, is she the one that I see in the mirror? And what work do I need to be for her to become her?
Wow.
Because in your mind, you romanticize what you look like. You romanticize how great you are. You romanticize how much money you make. You romanticize how good of a partner you are. Girl, bye. No, that's not true. Like, you're lying. Look right here. Touch it. It's not.
You're lying.
You're lying. Like you're lying.
Stop lying to yourself.
Like you're lying to yourself. It's that moment. And so I just ask myself as I'm going throughout my day, like, what did I envision in my mind that I am? What did I envision that I wear? What did I envision that I do as a partner? And what did I envision that I'm cooking for dinner for my family? Like, I ain't finna be cooking salmon and broccoli no more. I get in here and I save all these things. And that salmon coming with a little Cajun roux. It's coming with a little mashed potatoes. It's coming with, you know what I'm saying? It's coming with something new.
Yeah.
It don't take no more time.
Right. Exactly.
You still in the kitchen. stuff out that air fryer, right?
I love it. I
I think
love
that
it.
is what I hold myself accountable to, not what other people think of me
Yeah,
anymore, because I've learned
yeah.
very fast when it's convenient and oh, they love you. And when it's
People
not,
change their minds like
it's
the wind.
you. What did I do to you?
Yeah, they change their
Nothing.
minds like the wind.
You be
Absolutely.
like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
Hey, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
I feel like the
yeah,
only person that I have to worry about is what I want to be. I was
yeah,
just telling somebody the other day, they were like, oh, you really being here like cooking? I'm like, yeah, I've been here trying to do my thing,
yeah,
I said,
yeah.
because I don't want
I'm
my
Chef
son to be,
Boyardee. That's what I call myself when I cook. Chef Boyardee.
you know, you know what I said? I said, nah, I'm selfish. I don't want my son to bring no little girl home and he don't know that she can't cook because his mama wasn't no cook. You know what I mean? He gonna be excited because she put a little
Yeah,
sausage in.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, he gonna
yeah,
be
yeah,
He gonna be
yeah,
like
yeah,
a little parsley, a little Italian. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, come through, come through. So I'm like, now how my son gonna know? You know what I mean? Like just
yeah,
a
yeah,
little selfish, but
yeah. Yeah,
you know,
no, but that's good and that's real. Like, and they make us better. These little people, because they watch what you do, they watch what you say, they watch everything. And so MJ, he makes me better because I'm like you. I don't want him to see this or that, but there's a balance too, helping them to become emotionally disciplined and helping them to learn that emotions are okay, especially for boys, because so many times our little black boys are just suppressed by everybody, by family, by community, by the police, by everybody. And then we expect them to be these normal human beings and be emotional and responsible, but every time you turn around, you're suppressing them in some shape, form, or fashion. So yeah, I love that you're like, hey, are you thinking about his future? But
yeah.
hey, I gotta be, yeah, he needs to have a woman like mom, and mom is cooking and mom is doing this, and
And not to hold that to a standard, but to have an idea too, so I can teach him because I don't
yeah,
want my son thinking that certain things are what a woman. No, you can be a
yeah,
good partner. You can
yeah,
be a good partner. You can figure
yeah,
something out. You can have some things. And honestly, like I'm telling you, I had so many beautiful experiences in this season. And what someone said to me was like, I need you to treat him like you're raising someone's husband. And
that's
that's what I'm raising, a man who's gonna have his own family, who's
that's
gonna be responsible for a wife and some children.
yeah, yeah,
Can't not teach him certain things.
right, right,
I was like, I
yeah,
don't know. Like, I have any words.
yeah,
But he was
yeah,
like, you need to know that you're raising somebody's
yeah,
son. Like
yeah,
you're raising somebody's husband.
yeah.
You're raising somebody's father.
Yeah, yeah.
You teach
And
your
I
brother.
wish we all looked at it like that, right? We would all be much better off. I think the family unit itself has been so broken down and watered down, and we've usurped authority where you make it normalize it that there's no father or there's no father figure or there's no head of household, and it's a hierarchy thing. Like, even if you're just the only one in the home, you're the head. Children come up under the head. Children are not the head. Like you said, he's not the man of the house because he don't pay no bills, but he has his place in this house. He has his role in
Mhm.
this house. And I think from especially our culture, families have just not been what they were designed to be, and we need to get back to that. And it doesn't matter. Even in my own house, I have God is my head. I'm single. I'm a single woman. I don't have any biological children. I raise other people's children, but there's still a hierarchy. And I think, like you said, being that example, I'm raising somebody's husband, somebody's daddy, somebody's uncle, somebody, all of these things that we as humans become to people, and we're responsible for that. So when you see these people out in the streets and they're shooting and killing, it's like, what example did they have? Did they have any? Did they have any guidance? Did they have anybody saying you are going to be a strong, bold, courageous young man? Because I speak life into MJ. You will be the head and not the tail. You're a leader and not a follower. Like, so, because I want him to understand that your place and your position in life, but understanding who you are
Mhm.
and whose you are. That's our responsibility. And when we don't see that reflected in the kids that we see, the people that we see, it's like, hmm. I keep saying we failed a whole generation of kids that don't even know God. Like, how is that? How
Yeah.
is, you
Like
know, that's on us.
that for me is like, all righty. Like my son is getting to the point where he can have his own relationship with God, like in a way that he's understanding that. And so when I moved here, like I had seen Pastor Daniels on YouTube over at Change Church. He's come on right
Mhm.
after Sarah Jakes Roberts. Had
Mhm.
never looked him up. Just I can't even remember what the sermon was that was coming on at the time, and I just was like, oh, okay, I like him at school. Come to find out, he was here in Atlanta, and my son had already been experienced in that church when he would come to Atlanta anyway. And so I was like, well, I did like him on the internet. I don't know if I really want to go to that church. It's like, I don't know.
Yep. Yep.
So I was like, two things. I know the Lord.
Yeah.
I am building my relationship with him. And I did really enjoy Change Online.
Yeah.
I went to my little prayer group and I put in there, like, again, this was my first time ever
Yeah.
saying, Lord, when I make this move, I
Yeah.
need church home because I'm going to church right now. I'm doing the right thing right now.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
need church home, right?
Right. Right.
So I'm putting things into place to make a move, but I'm also knowing that I do not want to get from being under some leadership in the church. I can't afford to do that as a single parent. I can't afford to do that raising a little boy. Like I have to
Right.
be straight at all times.
Right. Right.
And when I'm not straight, I know I'm not straight, and I can go and call this therapist and get my friend group. But what I mean is, for the most part, when I am solid in my word, when I am solid in walking that line of who I am designed to be, I'm straight. So my son's
Yeah.
like, I love it. I love it. It's so many black people, right? And
Oh.
we have 4 services, right? Change has 4 services
Oh,
now.
wow. Wow.
He knows what time, which service he prefers to go to. He has his little friends and they meet it. So I
Oh.
feel like I knew this environment would be what he needed in building his
Yeah.
relationship and growing a liking. I don't
Yeah.
care what anybody says, you got to like to go to church,
That's
right?
right. Yeah, absolutely.
You got to
Absolutely.
like to go at some point until you really have
Yes.
down into who you are and God and all those.
Absolutely.
So setting the I like to go and can we go to the 10 o'clock is like, okay, yes, son,
Aw.
we go to the 10 o'clock, right?
Aw.
And that's important to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's important to me that he gets to have that with me or with his dad, that he goes to the
Yeah.
same church.
Yeah. That's
Don't have to
awesome.
work out that way. It wasn't like it was planned. But
But that's that pivot and that's that sacrifice that you made, it's for the best benefit of my son, you
yeah.
know?
And
Mm-hmm.
I love PD. I'm telling you, I don't know if anybody out there is looking for an online church home if you're not in Atlanta, but Change Church, it absolutely is one that you're like, okay, I could do this.
Okay.
I'm learning. I'm not only learning, but I'm applying. And
Yeah.
lastly, the best sermon ain't the one you hear, is the one you apply.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm
That's
like,
and that'll preach by itself. My pastor, Hardy Davis, shout out to Pastor Hardy Davis, Abundant Life Worship Center, who was the former mayor. But he always says, we are the place of hope, healing, and love to everyone that we touch, so that everyone that hears the word, sees the word, understands the word, and is transformed by the very word that they see, they hear, and they understand. Because that's what it's about. You can hear a sermon all day long, but if it doesn't make you want to change, make you want to do better, make you want to commit, and make you want to be a better person, then it was just entertainment.
mm-hmm.
Literally, literally. If there's anything you would want to tell somebody about pivoting, what would it be? What would you share with ladies that will watch this and will say, hey, how do you pivot? And how do you do it? Like you said earlier, how do you pivot? Sometimes it's in silence. How do you pivot gracefully? How do you pivot and land on your feet?
Ooh. I don't know if you land on your feet right when you pivot every time.
Okay.
I
That's
think
good.
you
That's good.
I think you have to be open to the pivot. And I think
Mm,
you have to know that life will continuously be an evolution of pivots. Even if the pivots are good things, there's still going to be a change in that. So for anybody watching, I would say give yourself some grace during the pivoting time. You're not going to have the answers.
mm,
Um, you may not have the support that you think you deserve, right? But you will have the support that you need.
yeah.
And if in that pivot, the people that you're expecting to show up for you don't, be okay with that.
Yeah.
So my biggest thing would be the pivots will happen. They're going to constantly happen in your life. Your
Mm-hmm.
jobs, your babies. If you're still dating, then there's going to be maybe one or two, boyfriends in between.
Mm-hmm.
Marriage is a pivot. A divorce
Mm-hmm.
is a pivot.
Mm-hmm.
The death of a parent or a
Yeah.
friend or all of those things. And if nothing in your life is pivoting or moving, If it's all very stagnant, then like you got to think if you have some goals, you got to think if the path you're on is anything, if it's going anywhere.
Yeah.
Because if you're not going anywhere, any road will take you there
That's right.
at any
That's
given
right.
moment. So I think it would just be that. Give yourself some grace. Know that pivots are coming.
Yeah.
Be okay if people don't show up for you in the pivot, especially the ones that are hard. But give them people grace too, because they're going through their own things. You
Mm-hmm.
can keep a little
Mm-hmm.
mental note, but
Yeah.
give
That's
them
right.
that same space.
Right.
Um, and there are 3 sermons that I listen to on repeat all the time. And number one is Girl Get Up by Sarah Jakes Roberts.
Mm.
And in that, long story short, girl, get up.
Yeah.
Number 2 is God made a bold move. So whatever God chose you to be, whatever God chose you to do, He didn't have to choose you because
That's
it was
right.
somebody more qualified. It was somebody whose background isn't what yours is. It was somebody who didn't do what you did, But He's gonna make a bold move, and He's still gonna
That's a good
choose
one.
you.
That's a good
And the
one.
last one is Long Story I'm Back by PD, which is Pastor Darius James. And it is about in some seasons you're gonna lose stuff, and in
Mm.
some seasons you can't afford to lose yourself.
Mm.
Those are 3 sermons that I listen to, and depending on where I'm at in my space, like I had to get up,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I had to know, like, I am still so chosen.
Yes.
It's something
Yes.
on my record that people can see now.
Yes.
I am
Yeah.
still worthy. It's just
Yeah.
something y'all know about me now,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
long story
Mm.
short, I'm back. Like, okay,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
okay, you know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Okay. That's
I
right.
can lose even if I try.
That's right. That's right.
So,
I think about James Brown, the big comeback. Hey, listen, I'm back. I ain't going nowhere. And yeah, I'm gonna be here. So, and I
and
love
be
it.
bold after it happens,
Yeah.
right? Like there's a time like I really enjoy Sarah Jakes Roberts' testimony and Woman Evolved. But there's a time where like shame will have you sitting in your house more than
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
there's a space for us where one ain't nobody worrying about us. I'm gonna tell y'all,
Right.
ain't worrying about
Right.
me.
There ain't nobody checking for us like that.
Ain't nobody checking for me. And if they are, child, which you can't see on Instagram, you probably won't know because you don't know who I'm friends with and who I'm not. Which
Right.
so
Because
like
you're not even my people. So why am I worried?
yeah, don't even put yourself in that, right? Like pivot. Sometimes you pivot in silence. Sometimes you could pivot boldly. You could say,
Yeah.
I'm doing this now.
Yeah.
Or you
Yeah.
could do it in silence.
Yeah.
Do whatever your heart desires, but
Yeah.
know that they are going to constantly be coming. They're not going to stop. This won't be the first time you hear the word.
It won't be the last.
Dad, create a new hobby,
Yeah.
take on a new career, do
Yeah.
it. We're gonna
Yeah.
be here a long time prayerfully.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And there is nothing worse than being like what you did in high school. And my
Right.
sister get on me about that because I love me in college. Me in college was so much fun. And my sister's like, I don't want to hear that anymore. And college was the greatest time of my life, right? I also give myself 2 times to talk about something from the past.
Mm.
I ain't talking about that no more.
Right. Right.
I'm like, yeah, this one time when I was in college.
Right. Right.
Girl, you 40. You done had so many more experiences.
Let it go. Let it go.
Go. Let it go. So when you pivot, it pivots. When you done, it's
Yes.
done.
Yes.
Yes. And
Absolutely.
I just had a conversation today with someone who's like, yeah, I didn't know you were divorced till such and such and such. I'm like, that means we don't talk.
That's right. That's right. And that's so in the past. That's so last year, so 10 years ago. Right. Like, yeah. Okay. Yeah. You didn't know. Okay. Then evidently it wasn't meant for you to know.
But then I also give grace in this space. That's the version of me that you knew. That's
yeah.
It could be something you're just very curious about.
Yeah.
I mean, we just had a whole 15 minutes of conversation about it, right? I'm talking about it with the girl right now. So I give the grace to say that could be where they know me from. And their intentions aren't necessarily bad. They aren't saying to hurt me. Maybe they're genuinely, I really didn't know.
Right. But that's true. And that's because I get it all the time. People didn't know. They was like, when were you married? Because they've only known me post-marriage. They didn't know me pre. They was like, wait, you was married? And for 18 years? Like, when did that?
That's just a version of you, So it's a thing where it's like, okay, I check myself to be like, okay, well, when's the last time I talked to this person? Do we really interact on social?
Yeah.
They don't mean any harm. They're just
right.
And I get to choose how I answer. If I answer.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like, it's so public, right? It's so
Yeah.
public, and it's
Right.
okay. And
Mhm.
so I just want to say that, like, some of your pivots will be public. Some of
Yeah.
them will be your choice and some of them won't.
Mhm.
But you got to
Yeah.
decide if you're about to keep moving, baby girl. Like,
That's right. That's right.
just keep on
That's
moving. So
that's
that's it. Pivot. I think pivot might mean move in some way or shift or change
mhm.
direction. I have to
Mhm.
look that up.
Mhm.
It's kind of
Mhm.
what it means. And we
It
just,
is. It is.
that's
It's
all we're doing.
you're going in one direction, but you pivot to go in another direction.
There
Like
we go. So that's all we're doing
yeah.
throughout this beautiful life.
Yeah.
And if your journey is straightforward and there's nothing moving or shaking or changing and it's steady and peaceful, kudos to you.
Yeah.
Right? But for those of us who are moving
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
life is changing and we're
Mhm.
trying things,
Mhm.
when I feel like I had to pivot, I remind myself it's because I'm trying something.
Right. 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 I'm
I'm gonna live
choosing to try.
here. I tried. Now you know God gonna
Yeah.
be like, some of that stuff you got you a little distracted over there, but you tried.
Right. That's right.
Yeah,
But
you
I
know,
still try, Lord.
I
You
still
know.
try. You know, I
Yeah.
had
That's
a
right.
photography
That's
business one time. You know, made my chocolate dip treat starting in COVID. You know, I started building websites. Hey, come on back, come on back, come
Be
on.
like, let me refocus. Come on, focus and get where you're supposed to get in alignment. Get in
Yeah,
alignment.
because
Mm-hmm.
being able to pivot, sometimes you be like, oh, if I change, I'm not. Because guess what I do know? I couldn't lose if I tried.
That part. And that's what we gonna end on. We can't lose if we try.
Lose if we
Ty, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I love this. We're gonna have to have you back. We're gonna
will.
talk more in depth about whatever it is we want to talk about because this has been a wonderful conversation. I love your analogies. I love your examples. The pivot. Sometimes it's in private, sometimes it's public, and just knowing that you can pivot and still land on your feet, but sometimes you may not, but it's okay as long as you keep moving. Keep moving. That's the key, is to keep moving. Thank you so much for joining Tuesday Talks with Tonia. Thank you all for watching, for listening. If you're listening on Audio Mac, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll find us on another episode of Tuesday Talks with Tonia real soon, coming to you. Have a good evening. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks so much, Tanya.